know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched by intelligences greater than man's, and yet as mortal as his own. We know now that as human beings busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. It was written and read as harmless entertainment. Science fiction was just becoming popular. Fairy tales for adults. And yet that world of science fiction is all around us, right now, less fictional with every passing day. The evidence is here. Our planet is indeed being visited by intelligences greater than man's.
Custody. So this former Air Force intelligence officer spilled the beans at a congressional hearing about how the US government has been keeping a lid on some of this wild alien stuff. Apparently, there's a lot more to UFOs than just rumors. At this congressional hearing, there were these three folks, David Grush, David Fravor, and Ryan Graves, all of whom used to work in the military. Fravor and Graves claimed that they saw these weird flying objects multiple times, like almost as if it was some kind of normal routine for them. And then there's Commander Ryan Grush, who didn't see any himself, but he talked about this top secret government program supposedly dealing with alien tech dating way back. Like, we're talking about stuff recovered from the 1930s, but however, the Pentagon's all, nope, never happened. The hearing made it clear that even Congress themselves are being left out of the loop. Some senators want a review board to release all classified UFO records. It's pretty intense, especially since people are thinking that this could be all a big deal for national security. Graves said it right himself, we deserve to know what's happening in our skies. At number 9 is the interstellar base on Mars. Are we already in touch with aliens? A former head of Israel's space program is suggesting that humans have been mingling with aliens for years. Haim Eshed, a reputable figure with a long track record in space endeavors, dropped a bombshell about secretive interactions between the US and extraterrestrial beings. This 87-year-old Israeli insider spilled the beans on deals struck between the USA and aliens. Supposedly, they're teaming up to dig into the mysteries of the universe. He even went on to say that Elon Musk's whole life mission of colonizing Mars is all kind of for nothing because according to him, we've already done it. Yeah. Apparently, we already have a secret base hidden underground on Mars where Americans and aliens are working side by side. Pretty wild to think about the implications if this is true. Imagine humans rubbing shoulders with creatures beyond our planet, like not even in a Hollywood movie, but in real life. What would they look like? How do they communicate? What amazing things could we learn from them? It's like diving into a science fiction story, except according to Eshed, this is our reality. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 8 are the 8 interstellar messages. 8 mysterious signals from outer space recently caught the attention of scientists. These signals might be from aliens. Scientists published their findings in a fancy science journal called Nature Astronomy. Now, why are these signals such a big deal? Well, scientists always keep an eye out for signals from outer space because they might be aliens trying to talk to us. These signals could show that there's someone out there using technology to try and communicate with us. But hold up, how do we know that these signals are from aliens? It's a good question. You see, these alien signals are different from regular human signals or just pulsars, for example. Humans use wide-range signals for things like phones and Wi-Fi, but these alien signals, they're narrow and way different. That's what makes them special and possibly from alien technology. Now, how did scientists discover these signals? Well, they used a clever AI program with a cool telescope. This AI checked 812 star systems from data collected by a satellite called Hippocros. And guess what? It found 8 signals that seemed promising that could possibly be from aliens. However, when scientists looked again, the signals were gone all of a sudden. Why? Nobody knows for sure. Maybe the aliens are being shy or just not that into chatting with us. But hey, it's still exciting because this means that there's somebody out there trying to reach us just from far, far away. At number 7 is NASA's golden record. Yeah, I'm talking about the Voyager golden records, basically those groovy golden discs that got launched into space in 1977. For those of you who don't know, the NASA Voyager is the first man-made object to ever leave our solar system. And so scientists thought, hey, if aliens ever find this thing, maybe we should leave some clues about how to find us. Carl Sagan, this big shot astrophysicist, and his team put a bunch of cool stuff on these records, like sounds of Earth, music, greetings in different languages, and they even managed to encode some pictures into it. But here's the kicker. How would aliens even know what to do with this freaking disc? Like, imagine just stumbling upon a weird disc, gold with symbols all over it, and having no clue how to play it or even what it is in the first place. Just pretty confusing. So basically, we can't exactly use stuff like English or like numbers or anything relatively human in general to try and communicate with these aliens because their point of reference might be completely different from ours. So we had to work really hard to come up with universal symbols in order to essentially create a language that will allow the aliens to crack the code. So on the golden record is a diagram which is supposed to depict a hydrogen atom. Now, essentially what's going on in the diagram is that it's depicting the electron of the hydrogen atom flipping its spin. Now, every element produces a certain wavelength when their electron flips their spin, and it's unique to each element. So if aliens can figure that out, now have a number that they can use for reference for the entire thing. And so there's also that cool star-looking map that's called a pulsar map. Essentially, the ends of the lines are supposed to depict pulsar stars. So they're essentially cosmic lighthouses, these stars that spin around really fast thanks to their magnetic poles and emit a beam of light. Each pulsar has its own unique frequency at the way it spins, and so using our hydrogen wavelength from earlier, aliens will be able to decipher which stars those are exactly, and thus be able to pinpoint where our planet is, which is all really convoluted and really cool. So cool, in fact, that I have it tattooed on my back. Anyways, these records also have some uranium stuff on their covers. Not dangerous though. They're meant to act as a clock telling aliens when exactly the records were sent out. So these records aren't just saying hi to aliens, they're also like a time capsule, which is pretty wild. But seriously, decoding messages to aliens is a whole other level of coolness. At number 6 is the Olympic broadcast. In 1974, humans shot a message to space from a massive telescope in Puerto Rico, but nobody actually heard it. We've been accidentally sending stuff like old TV shows into space for a while, which sounds pretty cool, but is kind of concerning. It might give the wrong first impression if our alien neighbors catch our TV shows. Now, some TV signals aren't nearly strong enough to escape our planet. While some are weak, while others might go a little bit stronger with their signal, but eventually they degrade over time. Even if they reached deep space, they'd be pretty quiet, like dropping a pebble in the Pacific Ocean and expecting somebody in Japan to notice the ripple from California. So even if aliens picked up our stuff, they might not understand it as images or sound. They would just know it's tech made by somebody, but that's about it. Now, in the Olympics, during the reign leading to World War II, the famous dictator with the mustache delivered a speech, and that broadcast was so loud and powerful, it might actually be the very first thing that aliens discover about us. Yeah, imagine if we met them like, hey, we got a message from you. Yeah, that was from our worst guy like ever. At number 5 is the interstellar broken telephone. Scientists recently sent a signal out to space aiming to chat with potential extraterrestrial pals. They even made a list of stars likely to get the message within the next 100 years. And guess what? They're hoping to hear back by 2029. These smart folks did some big math to figure out how far their messages will travel and when any replies might show up if they do. They shared their cool calculations in a science journal called Publications of the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. But the tricky part is that when we send these kind of radio signals out to space, they get weaker and harder to catch as they zoom along. So to make sure our messages have more oomph, scientists used NASA's super-powered deep space network. Some earlier attempts at this space chatting happened in the past, as back in 2002, we pinged a dead star about 27 light years away. And in the 80s, we messaged 2 stars expecting a reply by 2030. But not everybody thinks that this is a good idea. Some scientists worry that if aliens respond, we might not even notice. We only spread about one millionth of the Milky Way with our signals. That's like trying to yell in a cosmic empty stadium. And number 4 is the beacon in the galaxy. We've been trying to talk to potential aliens for a while now. It's like sending a message in bottomless space. The first attempt was in 1974 with the Arecibo message. Fast forward to now, and scientists are still at it trying to figure out the best way to say hi to whoever might be out there. This new message, called the beacon in the galaxy, is like a crash course in everything that humans know. Math, chemistry, bio, you name it. But the tricky part is reminiscent of the golden record from earlier. How do you write a message that an alien can understand? We can't use our languages or even numbers or symbols because, let's face it, aliens aren't gonna know our ABCs or 1, 2, 3s. So we use a kind of code, like a computer language called binary. It's like all ones and zeros, kind of like how computers talk. But even some really smart people on Earth had trouble decoding this binary message. Imagine aliens trying to figure it out. They might not even know what binary is. These messages also have drawings and diagrams about us and our place in the universe. But aliens might not be able to even see things the way we do, so even if they do get our message, they might not understand what we're trying to show them. And number 3 is the Arecibo message. This message was humanity's very first big attempt to send a message to aliens. It's basically a letter hoping aliens would find it. This all went down in 74 when scientists sent a super strong signal into space from Puerto Rico. It was like a big hello to any possible aliens in a star cluster called M13, super far away from us, about 21,000 light years far. The message they sent was pretty simple. It had patterns and information about us, Earth, our solar system, but again, it was in binary made of 1s and 0s. Now, it's unlikely we will ever get a response to this message in particular, but hey, at least we tried. At number 2 is the WOW signal. Wow. In 1977, a radio signal called the WOW signal made scientists go, wow. It was caught by a telescope at Ohio State University and lasted for 72 seconds. But after that, it disappeared, never to be heard again. The astronomer who discovered it was so amazed, he circled the signal on the datasheet and wrote wow next to it, and hence its name. Now, the signal didn't come with a message or anything. It was just a strong burst of radio waves. Scientists have been trying to find its source for ages. One idea might be it comes from a star in the Sagittarius constellation, but experts say we can't jump to conclusions. And at number 1 is interspecies communication. What do whale experts and alien hunters have in common? A lot more than you'd think, actually. This group of scientists got together and worked with their goal being to chat with whales. They did this experiment with a humpback whale named Twain. It wasn't like a full-on chat about life in the ocean, but it was still amazing. They used a special whale sound, kind of like a hello, to see if whales would reply. And then Twain showed up. For about 20 minutes, they kept making the sound, and Twain responded each time. Now, what's cool is that she even matched the gaps between their sounds. Like if they waited 10 seconds, she waited 2 before replying. It's a real conversation. Why is this important? Well, scientists think if we can understand how animals talk to us, we might be able to figure out how aliens could communicate with us as well. Yeah. Imagine if whales taught us how to chat with extraterrestrials. It's pretty cool.
A 30 second video from Jharkhand is going viral all over the internet. In the video, a strange, eerie-looking human figure can be seen strolling down the road. The video was apparently recorded on the Chhadwa Dam Bridge in the Hazaribagh district by some bikers. Seeing that, some are saying that it is an alien and some are claiming it to be a ghost. After the appearance, there has been a war on the social media sites among the people to determine the exact type of supernatural being that the creature is.
Maybe it's a ghost alien. Maybe it's a ghost and an alien, a ghost alien. Why is it so creepy? Like, it's so lanky and weird. But at the same time, I feel like aliens are more stealthy than that, you know? Like, I feel like it wouldn't just be walking like, oh, da, 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 hey, yo, what's up, you know? Like, just for everyone to see. They've been stealthy and hiding themselves for years, potentially, on Earth, so why would they just reveal themselves now? It doesn't really make sense. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he's just not a good alien. Maybe that's what it is. But it's really creepy. Like, legs were so skinny. Like, that did not look like a human. That looked like a creature of some sort. Ugh. Also, alien, if you're watching this video, just kidding, you're beautiful, love you.
I got it. Oh my gosh. Oh. What the hell?
That strange light in the sky is one of 1,100 UFO sightings in Canada last year. According to the annual survey released by Ufology Research of Manitoba, there are at least 3 such sightings in the country every day.
UFO reports are still a thing. People are reporting them in greater and greater numbers every year.
I'm never going to BC. It's beautiful there, and I was like, I want to go this summer. Yeah, 3 sightings of UFOs per day? Yeah, that's where they're hiding. They're hiding in the wilderness there. Them and the Bigfoot, they're just hiding there together. Or maybe that was Bigfoot roaming through the forest shining his flashlight. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's not even an alien after all. Maybe it's Bigfoot. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and today we are looking at the top 10 real alien encounters caught on camera, and it's pretty spooky so far. And if you guys believe in aliens, then make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Also comment something down below, because I like to read your comments. With that being said, let's dive on into the video.
Just about 4:45 and take a look at this viral video from La Junta in southeastern Colorado. All right, Vivian Gomez wrote on Facebook that her security camera captured this on Sunday morning. There are people on Facebook who say it looks like Dobby from Harry Potter, or a ghost or an alien, or a kid in flip-flops and underwear.
Maybe that. Maybe it's a kid in flip-flops and underwear, like na 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 na. I can't see an alien doing the chicken dance. It has to be a kid. Come on. But also, it does look like Dobby. It's not Dobby. Dobby. I feel like she said it weird. Anyways, it does look like Dobby from Harry Potter. That is a house elf for sure, okay? He was like, Harry Potter must not come to Hogwarts. Bad Dobby, bad Dobby. And then that was him leaving after the cake got. If you know Harry Potter, then you know. What the hell is that? Ew. Oh, I literally got the shills. I literally got the chills watching that. Like, this alien was trying to be stealthy and hide behind some tombstones, but it wasn't working. Look at its head. That is massive. That's a massive alien head. That is terrifying. That's like the creature from Predator. I'm sorry. I don't like that thing at all. That cemetery needs to be burned down. No, just no.
Why does it look like that? I don't get it. I mean, why does it look like that? I mean, it doesn't look like a plane, it looks like a saucer. I just don't get it. Can someone help me figure this one out? I mean, if you think that looks like a plane, I just don't get it. I'm looking at it carefully. And of course, you know, I'm driving in the middle of traffic. I'm trying to get as close as I can to it. And I just cannot figure out what the hell I'm looking at.
That is for sure UFO. Like, that literally looks like a spacecraft. Either that, or it's Ron and Harry going to Hogwarts in their flying car. That's also what it looks like. Man, we got the freaking house elf, and now we got, like, this is just confirmation that Hogwarts is real. Hogwarts is real, man. Yo, wizard Harry. Yo, wizard Lindsay. I wish I was. Cadabra. Lindsay Porter. Oh my. That is an alien. That's an alien. Either that or someone is really good at special effects and has a really expensive alien costume. Because it doesn't really make sense to me. Wouldn't an alien like be like, oh snap, there's a human, or something, and make them forget? You know, like the Men in Black, how they have the little flashy light. I feel like an alien just like points at you and then you forget that you saw an alien. Wouldn't you think, like, this is just too casual, him just, oh hey, what's up? Yeah, you can videotape me. Make sure you get this angle. Yeah, I'll just do my slow model walk. You know, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Also, this alien looks like the one from Scooby-Doo. It's with the green humanoid head. It's Scooby-Doo. Anyway.
Check out this video from one of our viewers, Mash Hatai. He said he woke up at about 2:30 this morning, get a drink of water, and this is what he saw in the sky. Certainly caught his eye. He took the video from Kaka'ako and thinks the lights were over Central or West Oahu, hard to tell from his vantage point. As you can see, the two bright lights, and then slowly a third light appears. Hatai believes he saw about 8 to 10 of the lights total.
What the hell? Guys, aliens might be real, and it's scary to say that out loud. How else do you explain this? Like, also let me know in the comments below if you've ever had a creepy alien encounter, because now I want to know. Let me know in the comments below.
Something is in the sky. What is that?
This video was taken by Misitina Sape at 8:26 Tuesday night near Haleakala Avenue in Nanakuli. Not long after, a woman named Mariah spotted the same thing passing over Princess Kahanu Estates.
I don't know, I looked up. And then I was like, oh, started calling my husband in because it was all in the garage. I was like, hey, look up there. Let's see what I see. They all said, yeah.
The 38-year-old says she's never really been a believer in UFOs, but the bright blue object had them so intrigued they jumped in the car and started following it.
I don't know what it was. This one was going so fast.
The journey ended less than 3 miles from where it began, on Farrington Highway in front of the Board of Water Supply building, after the object appeared to drop into the ocean.
Oh my god, do the aliens live in the ocean? Like, was it just returning home? Maybe that's why we haven't found them, because they store their spacecraft underwater in the depths in Mariana's Trench. Love that band. But like, in the depths down there, that's where the aliens are hiding, where we can't go. Wow. Maybe that's where they are. Also, they are brave for following this. They're like, yeah, let's just get in the car and follow this potential UFO that could kill us. Yeah, let's just do it. Typical Tuesday.
Now it is darkened outside. Temperatures are sitting at 61 in Buffalo. We have a northerly wind at 7. Good sleeping weather tonight, folks. What was that? Did anybody see that thing go past? Did we just see a shooting star? Good sleeping weather tonight, folks. What was that? Did anybody see that thing?
Nothing impressive compared to the other ones. That was probably just a shooting star. This guy was just trying to hype it up. He's like, how can I make the news more interesting? Whoa, did everyone see that? No, that wasn't a piece of my dandruff flying by the screen. It was actually UFO. So, I'm famous now. I caught it on camera.
The Pentagon has confirmed a strange and unexpected sight captured by Navy personnel off the coast of California. The video shows flying pyramid-shaped objects hovering above the USS Russell and another warship.
It was leaked by filmmaker Jeremy Corbell. He's also shared 3 images from the USS Omaha showing an unknown spherical craft. The Pentagon has confirmed its unidentified aerial phenomena task force, what a task force that is examining the footage.
That guy got really into the story. I think he believes in aliens. He's like, spherical crafts, yeah, aliens. That's literally what he sounded like. The Pentagon revealed that like it was a UFO. But UFO is technically unidentified flying object. So it doesn't mean that it's an ET, it just means that they don't know what the hell it was, which makes me feel better. So maybe it's not aliens, maybe it's just like a drone. I don't know. I'm scared.
Navy pilots say they saw something that defies the limits of known aviation technology. My God. They've been popping up around our national security facilities and baffling veteran military personnel.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
And civilians, including commercial airline pilots, are also seeing it.
We just had something go right over the top of us.
Here's a rendering of what an American Airlines pilot reported.
I hate to say this, looked like a long cylindrical object. It almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast that went right over the top.
Okay, that scares me for a number of reasons. Number one, they said that there was a whole bunch of them flying in the sky. Hello? Are aliens trying to invade Earth now? Like, why can't we just live side by side in peace? Like, what happened to we come in peace? Like, come on, be a good alien. Number two, what if it's like another country spy? Like, I read about this. It could be another country spying on us through these craft type things. I don't know, either way, it's spooky and I'm scared.
An unidentified aerial phenomenon dropped down on the Florida coast. First thing in the morning we drove to the beach to find it. This is what we saw when we got there. We tried to get closer but the officers on the beach saw us. When we got home this man was at our house. For days we have seen suspicious vehicles in front of our place. If anyone knows what we should do, please let us know.
You need to move, that's what you should do. A UFO literally crashed down on the beach by your house. That's time to pack up and leave, okay? And literally they're describing like the Men in Black coming there and like, oh, so you see anything suspicious lately? Any ETs, UFOs? Let me know. That is scary, seriously. Pack up and get the heck out of there. Again, wait, hold up. I think I just put 2 and 2 together. I think I just solved this whole alien thing. Again, it crashed down by water. What if this UFO was trying to enter the water, like I said before?
10 cover-ups. So this might not be news in regards to the idea of alien life and the government's involvement, as it's long been theorized by believers that the government has been covering up truths in relation to ETs and UFOs. But if we are to believe what was said in Congress, then that means the theory wasn't wrong. A former intelligence official testified last Wednesday that the United States government has found and covered up evidence of extraterrestrial life for decades. One of the witnesses, retired Major David Grush, alleged at a House of Representatives hearing about UFOs that the Pentagon has recovered crashed vehicles and biological remains believed to be of non-human origin. Quote, "I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program to which I was denied access. My testimony is based on information I have been given by individuals with a long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country, many of whom also shared compelling evidence in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony." So yeah, and it only gets crazier from here. Moving on to number 9. Caught on video. Now, as I mentioned, there were 3 military veterans that were a part of this hearing. We touched on David Grush in the last point, but the other 2 witnesses, Ryan Graves, Executive Director of Americans for Safe Aerospace, and retired Navy Commander David Fravor, both testified they too had personal experiences with UFOs while on the job. One of the more shocking incidents in particular detailed by Fravor was an incident from 2004, where a UAP was caught on video. Now, UFOs, or UAPs as they're formally referred to by military personnel, are defined as any object that is detected but cannot be immediately explained. And while some end up having innocent explanations like being weather balloons or drones, others remain quite the mystery. The 2004 incident falls into the latter category. Fravor said it was several years before any officials followed up on the extraordinary events of the day, and even then, he added that nothing was done. Moving on to number 8. There's a support group. Obviously, there was a lot of juicy information being revealed at the hearing, and I don't know if this was news to everyone, but it was to me, so I'm adding it. The former Navy pilot Ryan Graves talked about how he had founded the Americans for Safe Aerospace group that supports aviators who have reported UAPs, which might not sound like the craziest thing compared to what else was revealed. I mean, there are support groups for tons of different things, but to think that people are likely to require support after coming forward with unexplainable sightings is kind of crazy. Like, what is happening after they submit this report? What did they see? What did their superiors do to them? Graves stated that the objects that are reportedly being seen by military and commercial pilots are, quote, performing maneuvers that are unexplainable due to our current understanding of our technology and our capabilities as a country. Further adding, quote, if everyone could see the sensor and video data I witnessed, our national conversation would change. Moving on to number 7, fear of coming forward. So branching off of my last point, during the hearing, much of the discussion centered on improving the process for reporting unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, but Grush was also there to promote removing the stigma for aviators who report UAP sightings and to ensure oversight of government programs that investigate them. The former intelligence officer told the panel that he and several other colleagues have been the targets of what he calls administrative terrorism, and that he has at times feared for his life since coming forward. Which, I mean, would make a lot of sense if that's true, why a support group was put in place for those who report UAPs. Quote, it was very brutal and very unfortunate. Some of the tactics they used to hurt me both professionally and personally, he said, adding that there is currently an open investigation into the matter. Moving on to number 6. safety issues. One of the major arguments this hearing was intending to focus on was that in not reporting or in discouraging reports, we are creating a national safety issue, and there is a push for intelligence agencies to be more transparent about UAPs in order to promote national safety. Supporters of this, like Democratic Rep. Robert Garcia of California, said, quote, UAPs, whatever they may be, may pose a serious threat to our military and our civilian aircraft, and that must be understood. We should encourage more reporting, not less, on UAPs. The more we understand, the safer we will be. Grush, Graves, and Fravor all echoed similar sentiments, explaining they would like to see a, quote, safe and transparent reporting system. The men added that they are hopeful the public discourse is the first step towards eliminating the stigma and reports of UAPs to encourage others to come forward. Moving on to number 5. People have been hurt. So according to Grush, not only have there been some pretty sneaky cover-ups as well as some shady treatment to those who come forward, but people have also been harmed and threatened in order to not reveal information. Grush details that as a former intelligence officer, he would go to jail for revealing classified information, but when he was asked whether anyone had been harmed or injured to cover up information about extraterrestrial technology, he answered yes. Now, that alone is scary enough, but even more wild is that when he was asked if anyone had been killed, he said he had, quote, directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities. Now, I get it. He can't say yes or no because it's classified and all, but that's kind of a creepy answer. Feels like he's trying to tell us yes without telling us that. Now, on the other hand, a spokesperson for the Pentagon, Sue Gao, told NBC News that Grush's claims are false, but I mean, I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Coming in at number 4. Sightings are not rare. According to former Navy pilot and executive director of Americans for Safe Aerospace, Ryan Graves, it wasn't just the 2004 incident that raised some eyebrows. Graves also talked about an incident with a flying object off the coast of Virginia Beach in 2014. He said that while flying an F-18, he came across an aircraft that looked like a, quote, dark gray or black cube inside of a clear sphere, which sounds pretty UFO-y if you ask me. Graves estimated the aircraft to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter and unlike any aircraft he has ever seen. But even more peculiar than its shape was that Graves claimed the UAP could remain stationary despite hurricane force winds. And according to Graves, sightings like this one are not rare, are not isolated. Plus, he explained that his squadron submitted a safety report at the time, but that he received no official acknowledgement of the incident. Moving on to number 3. A very small amount get reported. Now, despite the fact that Graves claims sightings are not rare and the fact that it feels like there is always a new UFO sighting popping up, officially speaking, there are apparently not very many sightings that actually get officially reported. Graves estimates that roughly 5% of UAP sightings are reported. Again, mostly due to stigma. Quote, I urge us to put aside stigma and address the security and safety issues this topic represents. If UAP are foreign drones, it is an urgent national security problem. If it is something else, it is an issue for science. In either case, unidentified objects are a concern for flight safety. The American people deserve to know what is happening in our skies. It is long overdue. So hopefully this whole situation means more sightings will be reported following the hearing. I guess we will have to wait and see. Moving on to number 2, they really are more advanced. Back to retired Navy Commander David Fravor. I touched a bit in a previous point about his 2004 video he captured, but we're actually gonna circle back because there is a little more. Not only was this small tic-tac shaped flying object flabbergasting because they didn't know what it was, but according to Fravor, quote, there were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any visible flight control surfaces like wings. Plus, Fravor explained that as he and the other pilots tried to get closer to the mysterious craft, quote, "It rapidly accelerated and disappeared right in front of our aircraft, leaving behind no detectable turbulence," which essentially means whatever it was and whoever created it has far more access to superior technology than we do here on Earth. Fravor said, quote, "I'm not a UFO fanatic, but what we saw with our 4 sets of eyes, we have nothing close to it. It was incredible technology." Similarly, Grush alleged at another time that the military had misused funds allocated for other programs to try to reverse engineer some of the supposedly non-human technology. And last up in our number 1 spot, there are still unanswered questions. While there was certainly some juicy deets revealed at the hearing, we were also left with even more questions and still a few skeptics. Representative Eric Burleson of Missouri said he found it far-fetched that an extraterrestrial species was technologically advanced enough to travel to Earth, yet is, quote, "somehow incompetent enough to survive Earth and crash." NASA also weighed in, saying that scientists have been searching for signs of life in our universe for years, but they have so far come up short. The space agency's missions have studied water on Mars, explored the ocean worlds, Titan and Europa, and looked for molecules that could be a sign of life in the atmospheres of alien planets, but claim that our understanding of life is still a bit fuzzy and ever-changing. Now, all of that being said, as per the Planetary Society, it is, quote, "very unlikely that Earth is the only home to intelligent life." So, we may be onto something here. I guess we'll just have to wait and see until more information is revealed.
With Dulce Base, some whistleblowers have claimed that Dulce Base, a supposed underground facility in New Mexico, is involved in genetic experiments, including the creation of human-alien hybrids. The origin of the Dulce Base conspiracy theory began back in the 80s when UFO researcher Paul Benowitz claimed he had intercepted electronic communications between alien beings and the US government. Benowitz's reports included mention of this base. One of the most prominent claims associated with Dulce Base involves the creation of human-alien hybrids. Some conspiracy theorists suggest that extraterrestrial beings collaborate with the government at Dulce Base to conduct genetic experiments, resulting in the development of hybrids that possess a combo of human and alien traits. These hybrids are often portrayed as part of a secret agenda aimed at enhancing human capabilities and serving other unknown purposes. Next up, we have the Young-Hae Chi theory. Dr. Young-Hae Chi, an instructor in Korean at Oxford's Oriental Institute, made some interesting statements a few years back. Alien abductions have been reported for years. It's always been a mystery as to why they occur. Are they experimenting on us, implanting us with unknown alien devices? Well, according to this instructor, these supposed abductions aren't malicious in nature. They have more to do with alien beings attempting to overcome climate change. In a 2012 lecture, Dr. Chi discussed how a highly advanced alien species had already made contact with the people of Earth, interbreeding with us after these abductions, attempting to form a race of hybrids to colonize the planet. He talked about how the rise in alien abductions seemed to coincide with major problems arising on Earth, like the invention of nuclear weapons and the increasing changes in climate, and that the aliens' belief is that a more intelligent hybrid species would fare better at protecting the planet. He went on to talk about it being a human's job to not only protect the planet for our own good, but to prove the aliens wrong in their assumption of superiority. At our number 8 spot, we have the friendship case. The friendship case refers to a series of alleged contact experiences between humans and extraterrestrial beings that occurred in Italy between the 1950s and 60s. The encounters were reported by a group of individuals who had been contacted by a highly advanced alien species who claimed to have established peaceful and cooperative relationships with them. The story goes that a number of face-to-face meetings and telepathic communications happened between the contactees and the aliens. These encounters reportedly took place in rural areas away from the public eye, and the humans were shown like alien bases on Earth, as well as other highly advanced scientific and spiritual knowledge being shared with them. According to the contactees, these alien beings were all about the importance of peace and unity and ecological balance. The friendship case gained attention in the UFO community because of the detailed accounts and the consistency of these accounts amongst multiple witnesses. Some folks have speculated that during these peaceful interactions, some of these folks may have gotten a little handsy with their new space friends, resulting in some alien-human hybrids. Number 7, the Antonio Villas-Boas abduction. In 1957, a Brazilian farmer by the name of Antonio Villas-Boas reported one of the strangest alien abduction stories in UFO history. He claimed that on the night of October 15th, he was working in his family's fields when he saw this bright red star-like object in the sky. This object, according to Villas-Boas, descended and eventually landed, revealing itself to be a strange egg-shaped craft. From the craft emerged humanoid creatures wearing gray overalls and helmets. These beings abducted him, taking him aboard their craft. He described the aliens as around 5 feet tall, with small blue eyes and white hair. He claimed that they took samples of his blood, conducted medical examinations, and then led him into a room where he was introduced to a naked humanoid female. Oh boy. By the sounds of his description, they sound like attractive aliens too. Round, small, beady eyes, white hair. I mean, come on. According to Antonio, though, this one actually was pretty attractive, and apparently they proceeded to have a bizarre encounter. Afterwards, he was released, and the craft ascended back into the sky, leaving him alone and confused in the field. They didn't even buy him a drink. He later reported the incident to his family, who would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that awkward conversation. I would not tell my family about that. That is something I would maybe tell a couple friends about, but not my mom and dad. Eventually, the story reached the Brazilian military and local authorities, and his account drew a lot of attention from the media and UFO researchers. There are some terrifying alien abduction stories. Take Travis Walton's, for example, where he was experimented on his crazy ways. Gotta say, though, as creepy as this would have been, not the worst thing that could happen. At least, I don't know, at least for me, all right? I don't know. It's not every day you get to, anyway. Let's move on. Next on the list, we have the Dr. David M. Jacobs theory. Jacobs taught history at Temple University. He also spent 35 years interviewing people who claimed to have been abducted by extraterrestrials. First, he was a complete skeptic, but the more people he interviewed, the more he started to notice just how similar these accounts were. Despite coming from people who had seemingly no contact with one another, what he came to believe is that, according to him, these abductions are being carried out by extraterrestrials in order to create human-alien hybrids, in order to colonize the planet, and that they're amongst us as we speak. Now, this is pretty outlandish. I haven't talked to as many people as this guy has about their first-hand alien abduction stories, though, so who really knows? But from where I stand, this is pretty hard to believe. What do you all think, though? Let us know in the comments. And at number 5, we have another David story, David Huggins. Huggins is an artist with most of his work depicting extraterrestrial beings. For him, these aren't pieces of fantastical work, though. They are depictions of his first-hand accounts with alien abductions, which he claims to have had a lot of. His odd experiences with aliens began when he was just 8 years old, and it persisted as he grew up. Perhaps his strangest story is how he met an alien named Crescent, who, according to him, was actually a hybrid. And the story goes that Huggins did a lot more than hugging with this strange entity. Yes, his first time was with a human-alien hybrid. He also claims to have had over 50 children with her who visited him along with Crescent. They're also accompanied by several of your classic gray aliens and insectoid type beings who are their leaders. All sounds pretty legit to me. Honestly, whether any of this is true or not, whether it's just a big hoax he's concocted for fun, or if he actually believes what he says, he seems to be living his best life, making some pretty cool art out of it as well. So I'm into it. Check some of the paintings out. They're kind of creepy, but I don't know, interesting. Next on the list, we have Simon Parkes. Simon Parkes is a British British politician and self-proclaimed alien abductee who has gained attention for his interesting claims about his experiences with extraterrestrial beings. He claims to have been contacted by a 9-foot-tall green alien who claimed to be his true mother when he was a baby. According to Parks, his mother, who he refers to as the Green Lady, is a mantid extraterrestrial, a type of alien that supposedly resembles a praying mantis. Parks claims that his encounters with extraterrestrial beings began in his childhood. He says that these experiences continued into adulthood, including interactions with the Green Lady, aka his mom. He describes his relationship with his alien mother as complex, involving telepathic communication and a sense of connection that goes beyond human understanding. Parks has shared his experiences in interviews, radio shows, and conferences with the UFO and conspiracy theory communities, but he was also quoted saying, "For many people who don't experience it, it's very hard to accept. We are taught to only see and believe what we can touch, but it's acceptable to believe in religion. It's a personal matter and it doesn't affect my work. I'm more interested in fixing someone's leaking roof or potholes. People don't want me to talk about aliens." Number 3, Linda Moulton Howe. Linda Moulton Howe is a prominent American investigative journalist, author, and ufologist known for her research on unidentified flying objects and alleged extraterrestrial encounters. She's conducted a ton of interviews with people who claim to be alien abductees or had contact with alien beings, including human-alien hybrids. Throughout her career, Howe has explored various abduction stories where individuals have reported encounters with human-alien hybrids. She's gathered testimonies, investigated the narratives of these alleged abductees. Her interviews often include detailed descriptions of these hybrid beings, accounts of genetic experiments, encounters with advanced technologies. These accounts typically involve claims of reproductive experiments, where abductees report being subjected to procedures that imply the creation of human-alien hybrid offspring. Next on the list, we have the strange case of Jeffrey Alan Lash. Jeffrey Alan Lash was a mysterious guy who gained attention in 2015 after his death in Los Angeles, California. Lash was found dead in his car, and authorities discovered a whackload of weapons, ammunition, and cash in his home. What made this case even stranger, though, was the claim made by his fiancée, Catherine Nebron, that Lash was a human-alien hybrid. According to Nebron, Lash had told her that he was a hybrid with extraterrestrial origins, part human and part alien. He claimed that he was sent to Earth on a mission and possessed special powers as a result of this hybrid nature. Nebron believed Lash's story and thought he was a secret government agent involved in covert operations. She also claimed that Lash had instructed her not to contact authorities after his death because it would jeopardize their mission. Nebron's story about Lash being a human-alien hybrid definitely got some media attention, and the case became discussed in the UFO and conspiracy theory realm. Lash's background and the sources of his wealth are also still bit murky. Finally, we have the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. In September of 1961, Betty and Barney Hill, an American couple, claimed to have been abducted by extraterrestrial beings in rural New Hampshire. According to their account, while driving late at night, they observed a bright light in the sky that seemed to follow their car. The light eventually descended, and Barney stopped the car to get a closer look. He reported seeing humanoid figures inside a craft. Panicked, the Hills fled the scene, but later realized they had lost a significant amount of time. Over time and through hypnosis, the couple began to recall fragments of their experience. They described being taken aboard a UFO where they were subjected to medical examinations. The beings they encountered were described as short, with gray skin, large eyes, and slits for mouths, your classic grays. Regarding the theory of hybrid experiments, some ufologists have speculated that the Hills abduction might have involved reproductive experiments. This theory also suggests that the aliens might have conducted genetic hybridization experiments on the couple, resulting in the possible creation of human-alien hybrids. Anyway, this case became one of the first widely publicized alien abduction stories in the United States, and it's definitely one of the biggest and well-known ones. So we're starting off with a photo that was apparently lost for decades, but just resurfaced a few years ago. The Calvine photo, said to be one of the most convincing UFO photographs ever taken. On August 4th of 1990, two men who were working as chefs in a hotel in the Scottish Highlands decided to go for a walk that summer evening in the hills near Calvin. And in the middle of their hike, they spotted something in the sky, this big diamond-shaped object hovering up there. Apparently it made little to no noise as well. They managed to snap this picture here. The hikers sent the image to the paper, but instead of printing it, the newspaper handed it over to the British Ministry of Defence, and they kept it under wraps until 2022, when British journalist David Clarke finally brought it back into the light. After digging for 13 years, Clarke, who teaches at Sheffield Hallam University, discovered that a former Royal Air Force press officer, Craig Lindsay, had a copy of the photo all along, waiting for someone to ask about it. Clarke also had his colleague Andrew Robinson, a photography expert, examine the photo. Robinson found no evidence of tampering or manipulation. So, is this flying object of extraterrestrial origin? Well, Clarke believes it is a genuine UFO, just maybe not an alien aircraft. He thinks it could be the rumored Aurora, a super secret spy plane supposedly built by the US in the 80s.
Next up on our list today, we have a series of photographs of real-life aliens found in 2017 in Peru near the pre-Columbian Nazca lines. Analysis done on the body of the aliens, named Clara and Mauricio, showed that they are at least 1,000 years old and that their genetic makeup is not of this world. Although the findings are controversial, that's to be expected, and widely disputed, also expected, many people believe that Clara and Mauricio are modern civilization's first look at real-life humanoid alien bodies, and they see the discovery as a major scientific advancement in relation to our understanding of extraterrestrial beings. The lead researcher on the case said that the bodies, with 3 fingers on each hand and elongated heads, were found with another, going by the name of Victoria, which was used to conduct the tests that determined the age of the bodies and the genetic material. In the report, lead researcher Musan also stated that Victoria had been carrying eggs inside of her, meaning that it was likely these creatures were able to reproduce offspring and that Victoria was getting ready to when she died. Whether or not the whole thing is a big elaborate hoax remains to be seen. However, despite harsh criticism coming from Musan's peers and the scientific community as a whole, he continues to maintain the validity of his findings, making this kind of believable.
Take a look at these wild photos. These are some genuinely unsettling images right here. There's a lot of mystery behind these pictures. There's still no definitive explanation for them. All we know is that the photos surfaced about 10 years back. Supposedly, they were taken from a US submarine traveling between Iceland and islands near Norway. Alex Mistretta, a paranormal investigator, started looking into these pictures after they popped up in a French magazine called Top Secret, following a supposed leak. The photos were allegedly snapped in March of 1971 through the submarine USS Trepang's periscope during a regular military and science mission. A guy named John Kalika first spotted the UFOs through the periscope. We don't know who actually took the images. The pics were shared to the public by Alex after he saw them in that magazine, and there were some curious notes on the back of one of the photos. It said official photograph, not to be released, CT, and another note that read unauthorized disclosure subject security certificate SSN 674 criminal sanction. I don't know, what do you guys think of these? Genuine, hoax? I mean, some of these images are pretty insane. I mean, if they weren't doctored in any way.
Next on our list today, we have the McMinnville UFO photographs taken in none other than Sheridan, Oregon, approximately 9 miles southwest of McMinnville by a local farming couple, Paul and Evelyn Trent. On May 11th of 1950, the pair spotted these strange objects in the sky and rushed to grab their camera. They then captured some of the most captivating UFO images to date. It was Evelyn who first noticed the alleged spacecraft hovering in the sky above the farm. She yelled for her husband Paul, who also confirmed the sighting and was the one to capture the images. Paul's father also claimed to have caught a glimpse of the object before it sped off into the sky. don't know why I did that. A third-party analysis confirmed that the photographs were not doctored and that they showed a real physical object in the sky above the Trent family farm, and that the object was sitting at a significant distance from the lens of the camera. So basically, it was proven that it wasn't just some kind of bug flying nearby the lens. Whether or not you believe in aliens, UFOs, or UAPs, you gotta admit these images are pretty cool.
In 2023, the Pentagon released footage that was taken in the Middle East the previous year. The footage was captured on July 12th, 2022, with an MQ-9 Reaper drone. They're still not sure what this object is. The mysterious orb footage was shown to a congressional committee as part of a defense update on UFOs or UAPs. We can clearly see a small round object that looks like it's shimmering as it flies over houses and empty fields. Sean Kirkpatrick, who heads the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO, mentioned that this footage is pretty much all the info they have on this thing. They don't know where it came from or what its purpose was. The Pentagon also disclosed that they were looking into over 650 incidents involving UFOs.
Next up, if we are going to do a video about real alien photos, I feel it's only right to include a photograph of the most famous UFO sighting and interaction to date, the Battle of Los Angeles, or the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, which took place on February 23rd of 1942, just 2 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. The night the photo was taken, all of Los Angeles was directed to go under blackout by the US military. After all the lights on the ground turned off, the sky above LA was suddenly lit up by a large handful of strange, unidentified flying objects. The military then opened fired into the sky, and the public watched in utter shock as 1,400 rounds of ammunition fired at the airborne, seemingly extraterrestrial objects appeared to have no effect whatsoever. Smoke filled the sky, and when it cleared, not a single craft was to be found in the sky or on the ground. 5 civilians died after being hit by materials that appeared to have ricocheted off of the intended targets. 3 were killed in car accidents due to the chaos of the event, and 2 more died of heart attacks due to the stress of the event, which was 2 hours long in total. If this isn't legit, I don't know what is. That's pretty crazy.
Next up, we have some mysterious UFO footage that was taken in Wales. So in September of 2016, a police helicopter flying over the Bristol Channel in Wales around 9 p.m. spotted something in the sky. It was only visible on the chopper's thermal camera, cruising at about 106 miles per hour against the wind. Former cop Gary Haseline later released the full video footage, urging the UK government to come forward with whatever they knew about UFOs. Of course, they didn't. Police thought it could have been a drone at first, but the object was moving pretty fast. Faster than any known models at the time. Apparently the thing was picked up by local air traffic control and emitted heat. Haseline stated, "This is verified police helicopter FLIR footage showing an object not seen with the naked eye but clearly seen in the infrared spectrum. It is moving against the wind, so it is not a balloon, nor is it emitting any heat signature indicating a propulsion system."
Next up, we have a photograph taken on May 1st of 1952 at 7:58 a.m. by George Adamski, who claims to have seen multiple UFOs flying over his backyard in Mount Palomar during the 1940s all the way through to the 1960s. Although many renowned UFO experts have been unable to back his claims, Adamski maintains firm in his belief that he was able to capture not only this image of a cigar-shaped mothership flying in front of the moon seen here, but also the image of 6 unidentified flying objects he believes to be alien spacecrafts arising from the moon and flying in formation, which you can now see here. These images gained such notoriety in their time that for a while a rendering of the 6 spacecraft photograph was featured in a postage stamp in Grenada in 1978. Not only did Adamski claim to have taken a number of other images, which were unfortunately destroyed, he also claimed to have communicated with the aliens aboard these ships using symbols, hand gestures, and even telepathy. Whether or not he's telling the truth, I personally believe he would make a hell of an entertaining dinner guest.
This footage was captured in 2004 by Mexican Air Force pilots. They'd been on a routine flight when they spotted several glowing objects on their infrared cameras. They couldn't actually see the objects with the naked eye. There were 13 of these objects in total, flying over the skies of southern Campeche state. This is a solid piece of footage right here. At one point, we get a nice long look at the glowing objects flying in perfect formation across the sky. And yeah, I don't know what they are. I mean, I'm not an expert or anything, but the pilots also had no idea what they were picking up and tried to pursue the objects, but they just lost track of them. They flew away at incredible speed. The footage wasn't released until 2010, and ever since, it's been cited as one of the most convincing examples of a genuine piece of UFO footage.
And finally, we have some more video footage coming to us straight from the declassifieds. I'm talking about UFO documents released to the public by the Pentagon after so many years of adamantly denying the existence of such phenomena. On January 15th of 2023, cameras were set up to survey an MQ-9 Reaper aircraft when all of a sudden, an unidentified aerial presence was captured on that same video, moving at speeds unreachable by any kind of modern-day aircraft. It was shocking to say the least, but it actually gets crazier. The object was moving so fast that it appeared to actually disrupt the atmosphere surrounding the craft, leaving behind an atmospheric wake in lieu of a jet stream as it disappeared completely into the sky. It sounds pretty unbelievable, but as I said, the footage was literally released by the Pentagon, who have done a complete 180 on their denial of UFOs and have now actually asked the public to come forward and submit any authentic images or encounters with UFOs or UAPs to the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the ADARO. But I would personally love it if you shared any stories you have down below.
Graves. For those of us who keep our heads deep under a rock as possible, such as myself, Ryan Graves has been breaking the internet recently with his very vocal claims of UFOs, going as far to say that he saw them every day in his time as a Navy pilot. Now, the dude is no foil hat freak. He comes packing your usual high qualifications and certifications needed for this role. So Graves is a former Navy pilot and engineer, chairs of America Institute Aeronautics and Astronautics UAP Integration and Outreach Committee, and now the founder of the new nonprofit Americans for Safe Aerospace, which is like Mothers Against Drunk Driving for our atmosphere. Graves chose to testify in front of Congress last month about how he feels these UAP, which is the boring version of a UFO, are actually a threat to our security and safety. So in April of 2014, his FA-18 squadron was on a training mission, and he said after achieving 12,000 feet in what's an exclusive naval airspace, i.e. nobody can fly here zone, two jets crossed the threshold to find, and I quote, a dark gray cube inside of a clear sphere, motionless against the wind, fixed directly at the entry point. He goes on to say that the jets, only 100 feet apart, zipped past the object on either side. The pilots had come so dangerously close to something they couldn't identify that they terminated the training mission immediately and returned to base. Ryan Graves said that the flight leader, in extreme duress, told him, "I almost hit one of those damn things, man," in the pilot's ready room, and that we all knew exactly what he meant by those damn things, as they'd been plaguing us for the last 8 months. Having had this harrowing and potentially deathly experience, should things have been slightly different, Graves felt the need to develop a reporting service for pilots who come across these unidentified flying objects, shedding light on a huge amount of investment that goes into the training of commercial pilots. Graves questioned the government for turning its back on the UAP reports, even though they all come from credible eyewitnesses. Number 9, which is the 2022 H0219. So, unlike America, Canada actually does have a UFO entry database for pilots. It's called KDORS, and it'll document anything from unruly passengers on flights to birds getting sucked into engines to aliens, apparently. As long as it's causing a problem and it's in the air, KDORS wants to know about it. Now, Transport Canada, despite having a reporting service for such things as UFOs, still cautions that reports contain preliminary, unconfirmed data that can be subject to change. And 2022 H0219 is the KDORS case number assigned to an incident that took place on September 17th of 2022, when an Air Canada flight from Toronto, quote, reported passing an unidentified object approximately 10 feet above the captain's window while making a left-hand bank at 1,300 feet just an hour before sunset. The report continues to mention that the flight crew couldn't identify the object, which is confusing seeing as it's 10 feet from the captain's window, and they went on to land without further incident. Now the report wraps itself up with that, and trust me, if you visit the Cater's log, it's vague at best. But now you have a bit more context as to why they have that subject to change warning on their website. I'm not saying they would casually omit details, but you really think something was 10 feet away from the pilot and the airline's attendants' faces and they couldn't ID it? On to number 8, which is 2022-02794. Another Cater's flight sighting. So there is quite literally no shortage of them. According to CTV, from unidentified objects to strange lights, Canadian aviation officials receive at least 16 unusual reports in 2022, including 11 from pilots flying for Air Canada, WestJet, Virgin Atlantic, United, and more. This report was made by NAV Canada on November 12th of 2022. It was a cargo freighter flying from Chicago to Frankfurt, Germany overnight. The route taken brings the pilots right overhead northeastern Ontario where good things grow. The Cater's document, which was entered a few days after the incident, states that the pilots reported seeing lights that were moving eastward at the same speed as the aircraft while flying in the dark. Now, there's no further information on this one, but I sure wish there was. Number 7 is a break from Cater reports. It's going to be the racetrack. So veteran pilot Chris Van Voorhis told the Daily Mail of a strange encounter he had had in which 3 to 5 bright objects flew in a circular motion like a racetrack for hours on end over top of the Pacific Ocean in August of 2022. Their racetrack seemed to stretch from Honolulu to Los Angeles and then back. Similar to Graves, the 63-year-old Voorhis ain't some random dude in a tinfoil hat. He's racked up over 32,000 hours of flight experience working with multiple airlines, and when he witnessed this awe-inspiring yet decidedly creepy phenomena, Voorhis said that he was hit with an onslaught of other airline pilots radioing in to ask if he was seeing the objects as well. Apparently, as he told Daily Mail, about half of his pilot friends have seen some type of anomaly in the sky. They had to be in a very, very high orbit, or actually even in space quite a ways away from anything that a satellite would be, because every time we were seeing it, it was in the lower right-hand corner of the Big Dipper, no matter where we were in the world, he told the outlet. It lasted for such a long time that it actually became boring. Almost. Van Voorhis's employer, whose name is withheld, forbade him from speaking about the incident. However, that hasn't kept him from running his mouth, claiming to have also seen 3 flying discs in a triangular formation back in 2004. Number 6 will be the letter response. After tackling the dragon that is paywalls, I was able to scrape together the details of a letter written by Art Sabosky, entitled A Pilot Explains UFOs for the Last Time. Now, to save you guys some time and the paywalls, Art's letter is essentially him complaining that he spent 45 years as a pilot and hasn't seen boo, and all his pilot friends haven't seen anything either, therefore no pilot could have ever seen anything ever, and if they have, they're either Mary Jane smoking or visually impaired. Essentially, you could title his letter, I am mad other professional aviators have seen something and I haven't. Now, the whole argument of if I haven't seen a thing, therefore it does not exist is pretty much the argument of UFO non-believers. This is why Ralph Lowinger was quick to fire back a response. So UFOs don't exist because you and your friends haven't seen one? I know they exist because I was a co-pilot of a Pan-American cargo flight with 5 crew members who clearly saw their formation. It was on a crystal clear moonless night over Nova Scotia's south coast, and we all watched and saw the same thing through different panes of cockpit glass. Their dance was from another world. It lasted 5 minutes and terminated with the most dazzling feat of aerodynamics we have ever seen. I have now retired to the largest fly-in community in the world, in which many highly trained observers know that UFOs are real. Cataracts and floaters aside. Lowinger and other crew members never reported their sightings, but their story did come to light in 2011. Number 5 will be the skydivers. So this story comes out of the Virginia pilot Julius Figueroa in July of 2022. Julius had served in the Navy as a pilot for 2 years before getting a job in the Midwest as a skydive pilot. What would be considered an everyday venture, loaded up with his usual adrenaline junkies trying to touch the clouds, Julius and his passengers experienced a different kind of adrenaline-invoking experience. We were climbing 10,000 feet, and at around 4,300 feet, I was looking into the distance and this thing caught my eye, Figueroa said. It started getting closer and it was approaching me about 15 feet to my left heading north. Figueroa goes on to say that the object was spherical golden orb that was flying very fast, but interestingly, he reported that you couldn't see the object when you looked at it directly. Other pilots have reported the same thing during their encounters, and it does sound like an explanation for what happened even in our first story, where Graves' team didn't notice the flying anomaly until they were about to crash into it. Julia said that the object was the size of a small car, and without realizing it, he started turning his plane to the left. As the object passed by, Figueroa said he started yelling, causing the other people in the back of the plane to look out the window. 3 of the skydivers see it, including one of the instructors, Figueroa says. By the time I turned the plane, it was already on the horizon, and shortly after, the object was gone. Figueroa contacted air traffic control and asked them if they'd seen a drone on radar, to which they said they didn't. He called again and described the object he saw and asked if they had seen it. To quote him, there was a long pause on the other end, and then they said they didn't see it. Number 4 will be the Passover, and not the one with the matzo and the karpas. I'm still full from the last one. I'm talking about the weird and very underdocumented occurrence from June of 2023 in which a pilot in Toronto reported, and I quote, seeing a person in a wingsuit flying at an altitude of 13,000 feet. Now, articles did mention that this incident was filed with Transport Canada. However, even after spending hours searching KDORs, I was unable to find a report or provide a case number. But to give you an idea why this reporting is so weird, aside from everything about it, A, who uses a wingsuit nowadays? And B, this altitude actually breaches the death zone. For those of us who don't climb Mount Everest in our free time, the death zone is to refer to the point at which an altitude's lack of oxygen becomes insufficient to sustain human life. The average person tends to die around altitudes of 8,000 feet and higher, and it's all attributed to the physical capabilities of cellular oxygenation. So what does that mean? Aliens. Number 3 is gonna be our last CADORD report of the list. It is 2022-1004. Where? Kitchener-Waterloo area. For my viewers outside of Canada, it's a few hours drive from Toronto, Ontario, and it's a lovely little college town chock full of frat boys, geese, and hockey. And now, apparently, their new claim to fame is that there's some aliens all up overhead. During the daylight hours of May 28, 2022, local police were notified after multiple reports were received by local traffic of an unidentified object, possibly a balloon or a radio-controlled plane, at 3,000 feet and 7 nm south of Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. It's incredibly frustrating trying to pursue more knowledge or information on this sighting, as unfortunately its documentation is limited to what I just told you. You'd think there have been so many witnesses and reports between pilot and citizens alike, perhaps there'd be more statements. What I did learn, however, is since Ontario kept popping up for these sightings and I was curious, is that according to 2022 numbers, Quebec led all provinces with about 29% of all Canadian UFO reports, narrowly edging out Ontario, who has 28% out of the total recorded 786 sightings in our country. Number 2 is the Tic Tac. Remember Ryan Graves and how he testified to Congress? Well, he's not the only one who did. During a hearing before the House lawmakers, retired Navy fighter pilot and Commander David Fravor testified about his experience seeing what he described as a Tic Tac looking object while on a flight back in 2004. Commanding the FA-18F squadron on the USS Nimitz, he and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich were on a flight off the coast of Southern California on November 14th of 2004 when they saw a flying object. The advanced radar on the ship was part of their training group and detected what operators called multiple anomalous aerial vehicles over the horizon, descending 80,000 feet in less than a second. Fravor and Dietrich swerved over that way to investigate, each carrying an extra witness, the weapons system officer, in the backs of their jets. Fravor recalls the experience. I said, dude, do you see that thing down there? And we saw this little white Tic Tac looking object, and it was just kind of moving above the whitewater area. Fravor went in for a closer look. He described the Tic Tac object mirroring his movement, saying it was aware we were there and that all 4 of us in the airplanes literally were watching this thing for roughly about 5 minutes. The object was about the size of Fravor's FA-18F, with no markings, no wings, and no visible exhaust plumes. When Fravor tried to cut off the strange flying anomaly, it accelerated so quickly it seemed to disappear. He said it was detected roughly 60 miles away less than a minute later. I think what we experienced was, like I said, well beyond the material science and capabilities that we had at that time, that we have currently, or that we're going to have in the next 10 to 20 years. And coming in at number 1 will be the 7. So this ex-FBI agent named Ben Hansen is now the host of the Discovery Plus TV series UFO Witness. He works hard to try and bring attention to UFOs, and in doing so collects worldwide reports and videos he can share that are as credible as possible. He compiled accounts from pilots from Southwest Airlines, Hawaiian Airlines, and others between August 6th and September 23rd of 2022. And in the captivating account we'll be discussing from this time period, a former military pilot reported seeing multiple aircrafts flying above him. Pilot Mark Hulsley was flying a charter jet on August 18th of 2022 off the coast of Los Angeles when he suddenly radioed in the following. We've got a few aircrafts to our north here, and he's going around in circles, much higher altitude than us. Any idea what they are? The confused controller responds, telling the pilot he's not sure. Hulsey then calls back 23 minutes later to say that the 3 aircrafts he had originally reported had now increased to 7, flying between 5,000 and 10,000 feet above him in a regimented pattern. While the controller continues to dismiss him, we hear the anxiety spike in Hulsey, who's absolutely adamant, stating in the recorded footage to the controller that they just keep going in circles. I was an F-18 pilot in the Marine Corps, and I'm telling you, I've done many intercepts, I've never seen anything like this. According to Hansen, the strange lights that some pilots reported as possible aircrafts were seen by upwards of 15 different commercial flights, and that at least 6 pilots are willing to go on record with their names and everything if asked to do so by any investigative agencies. According to Hansen, it means in this case we have a global phenomena as far west as Japan to as far east as possibly Miami. Whatever it is, these pilots are seeing it from halfway across the world. Hansen said there's no official protocol for reporting strange sightings for civilian pilots because they don't think the FAA will follow up, or worse, they will be ridiculed. But as we know, Ryan Graves is working to change that.
Want to see more videos like this one? Click the video playing right now. It's about actually part 1 and 2 of this series. You won't regret clicking the link to find out more about shocking UFO encounters that were covered up. See you in the next video.